All right, I'm going to get started. I'm so glad that you guys are here today. I'm going to really try to make the most out of this hour. We are using LinkedIn to drive sales. So, before I get started, I just want to let you guys know I've muted everyone. So, you're in listen only mode. You can use the chat for questions and to raise your hand or provide nonverbal feedback with the reaction. So I've given you a little description of everything here. I know we're all used to Zoom in these times. But you can mute or unmute your microphone. So I've muted you guys by default, but there will be the opportunity to ask questions at the end, and it's going to be a very interactive session. So if you do need to unmute yourself, you can do so. So, as we get started, obviously, I am today's panelist for you. My name is Amanda Davis. I'm the founder and chief idea officer of Hudson Davis Communications. I've got nearly 2 decades of experience in B2B marketing, and I am so lucky to have worked for some of the world's biggest companies. So a little bit about me. I'm also going to circulate these slides at the end of the session if you want to learn more about me or about Hudson Davis Communications. So really, to get started, I think that it's important to start off with why we're talking about LinkedIn today. Obviously, there are a lot of social media platforms and a lot of social media companies that you guys are going to as business owners and people who are in business and running business. So I want you to understand why I'm focusing on LinkedIn today. For B2B effectiveness, LinkedIn is by far and away the most effective platform year over year. It has been since 2017, and it's my opinion that it will continue to be the leader for B2B social media. That said, 51% of companies are acquiring new customers through LinkedIn, even if they're B2C. So if you guys are working directly with consumers, you are also using LinkedIn to acquire customers. And I'm going to show you how you can do that today through your profile. But this is why I feel it's important that we use LinkedIn. When you guys are thinking about your own business, it's important to understand where your customers are and go there. So for me in particular, I know exactly what my customer looks like. And for me, they're on LinkedIn. So I know that when I'm looking at ad spend or ad dollars, I'm going to invest most of it into LinkedIn. So why social selling? It's interesting, the old way of selling isn't really effective today. I mean, talk about with a pandemic, we're not able to, after yesterday in California, things are changing, but over the last year and a half, we really haven't had the ability to interact with our customers and our buyers in person. And we've had to do that now via social platforms and other uses of other technologies. So, gone are the days where you could ask your boss to make you a connection and invite somebody over lunch, or take a client out for something. Now we really are doing it via social media and LinkedIn. So it's interesting how things have evolved and how even through a pandemic, things are going to continue to evolve. So some of the fundamentals of social selling, it's been proven that B2B buyers are 5 times more likely to engage with quote unquote sellers who are known industry thought leaders. That's you guys. So how do you become that on LinkedIn? And how do you use your profile to do that on LinkedIn? Here are some 5 quick tips right at the top that you can use today to use LinkedIn as it's designed. And LinkedIn is founded on an algorithm. So these are some tricks that you can use or some recommendations that I have to use to get the most out of the platform without doing anything else. Comment in group discussions, share important news, ask clients for recommendations, leverage existing marketing content, and then publish it. So one of the things that I think is most important is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you want to post something. You can use content that's already out there. So if you go take my profile as an example, or the profile of my company, Hudson Davis Communications, you can see that we're not always creating new content. We are using the content of others to drive engagement. So feel free to use that as a tip and as an example that you can really do with your own profile. And don't worry, I'm going to like truly get into the weeds with all of this stuff. So I know I'm moving quickly. This presentation is not all going to be slides. We are going to take you on a deep dive into the LinkedIn platform. So I'm going to move a little bit quickly here so that we can get to the good stuff. So using your LinkedIn profile is really, really important to make a good first impression. How do you do that? I'm going to go over my profile directly with you guys, but here's a good example. First and foremost, I know that you guys can see my screen, so I'm going to kind of give you a visual cue here with my mouse. We read from left to right. So we will naturally kind of start over here, move up here this way, and then come down here, and then finally end over here. And LinkedIn is really smart. What they've done is they've designed their page to kind of take you through the things that they want you to see naturally. So first and foremost, to make a good impression is your photo. It is your first impression. It is the most memorable impression. You do want to make sure on LinkedIn that you have a professional photo, that it is a current photo, and it is a photo that represents you and who you are. You want to be recognizable so that when you do have a chat to the person that is looking at your LinkedIn profile, and as you are getting more and more sales from LinkedIn, when you see them, they instantly know who you are. So that said, you do want to make sure it's a current photo. So if you've done anything to alter your appearance, like if you've gotten glasses, if you've cut your hair, if you've lost a large amount of weight, or for my men out there, if you've grown or shaved your beard, I really recommend considering updating your profile picture so that it is a clear and current representation of what you look like. Next, you'll move over to the tagline. So a lot of people think that this is just their title, and you really can be action oriented with your headline. You are more than what you do. And I use this as a really good place to tell people a bit about me without actually telling people a bit about me. And I'm going to show you active examples of this once we get into the platform. Next is your media. This should illustrate a little bit about your story, who you are, what you do. This is actually a new LinkedIn feature. They've added it newly in the last 5 or 10 years or so. So go in, add some media. You can link your website, you can upload documents, you can share pictures. This profile, this portion of your profile is a really good way to show off some of the stuff that you work on, maybe some examples of your work as a business or as a business owner. And then finally, your summary. So I am a fan of my personal summary is short and sweet. A lot of people like to go lengthy in their profile, and really in their summary, really here, there is no wrong answer. So short or long, there is no wrong answer, but really what it should do is give people an idea of who you are and what you do. So like I said, I'm going to go into this once we get into the platform, but really you do want to illustrate that this is information that can be used to show people who you are and what you do. Now, the benefits here and really the importance here is that you are giving people a way to get to know you, and you're giving them information about yourself before they even talk to you, right? So one of the things that I recommend is something I call the ABCs. Always be connecting. So before a meeting, after a meeting, you should be connecting with anybody and everybody that you anticipate having a conversation with. And so, this information here at the very top of your profile is the most important information that they're going to see when you connect with them. So some other tips, a few quick do's and don'ts. Some do's, do include comments with your post. So if you're sharing an article, I do see a lot of people who just share and don't add a comment at the top. And that's a waste of some really good space where you have the ability to add information about what you're posting about, and also do something that I call growth hacking. So here's how I do it. In this specific example, we're talking about an event. So as you can see, we've shared a picture. We're tagging Jennifer Erickson. So she's the person that was speaking at this event. The reason I tag her is that now everybody that she's connected to, even if I'm not connected to them, or they're not following me, or they're not following my business, they're going to see this. So this is a way for you to tap into people's networks that you're not already in. A great way to drive new business. Same thing. So I've used my tags and hashtags in a sentence. It's very clear. And this is how I'm expanding my reach. I've also tagged Novogradac. This was the company that was hosting the event. And again, everybody, you can imagine that, another company has a pretty robust following. Now, everybody that they're connected with and is following them is going to see this, even if they're not following me. And then I've also used some hashtags. So I've used hashtags that are important to the context of the post, and I've used them in the sentence. So it's very clear, it's clean, and it's not messy. So another thing that's related on the don't side is links. So once you paste a link into LinkedIn, there's usually a little box that pops up with the thing that you're sharing. Once that happens, you can go ahead and back out the link rather than leave it in there. It's a bit messy and can be a little distracting. So my recommendation is to back that out. Your post will stay, and I'm going to show you live how to do all this. So for cleanliness, it really helps to kind of clean up your post. A do is that you should incorporate pictures and videos. They will help with your post performance. So you can see here, this post included a picture, and you can see like right off the bat, it got 30 likes. So we are more visually engaged now than ever before. So I really do highly recommend including pictures and videos with your posts to drive engagement. And then finally, on the don't side, I really don't recommend posting things like your horoscope or things that are politically driven. As a business owner, as somebody who's representing a brand, you really do want to remain agnostic. You don't want to alienate anybody from your audience. And remember that your social presence is really a reflection of your brand. So do avoid anything that could alienate clients, partners, or followers. And when in doubt, ask. I am here. You are all connected with me. So I did my due diligence before you guys all logged on today. I made sure I tried to connect with everybody. So I'm following my own ABCs. But if you have a question like, hey, should I post this, or is this a good idea? You can always ask me. Me and my team, we're all a resource for you guys. So I'll share an example. At one of the previous companies that I worked for, we had a business that was involved in protecting others. And I had a sales guy reach out to me and he said, hey, I found this article and it really shows the need for our business. What do you think? Should I post this? And so I went in and I took a look at the article. And as it turns out, the company that was in trouble and kind of looking for, some help, and the reason that it was kind of promoting our business, they had now actually become a client. And so if he had posted that, it would have been a really poor reflection on them, and it could have been a really poor reflection on us. So really, when in doubt, do ask. If you think that there even might be the slightest thing that could become a problem for you or your brand, take a beat, ask a question. That's what we're here for. So some quick tips, and then I promise we will get to the live stuff and the good stuff. First and foremost, connect with your colleagues and make sure that you're attributing your position to your company's correct page so you can leverage the power of those networks. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how I've done it. And obviously, like I said, follow the ABCs. Next, do some research. So if you're heading into a meeting or once you've left a meeting, always research the person that you're meeting with through LinkedIn and see what they like and comment on. I'm going to show you how to do that and how to find that. But you can also connect with their peers so you stay in their circle and see the things that they're consuming. That could be really helpful for you, whether it's helping you develop content that you can post or helping you get to know them so that you can include important things to the conversation that you're having as you're potentially pitching them. And third, train others. Share what you're doing with others, either on your team or within your business or within your own connections. Share what you're learning so that they can learn from you and your successes, like I'm doing here with you today. So next, some more fast tips. Start small. I know that for those of us who are not necessarily proficient with LinkedIn, that it can be a really overwhelming and daunting prospect of, oh my gosh, I have to post every day. And what do I do? So just start small. Start simply by liking, sharing, join groups, and just be active on your account once a day. I promise that will make a huge difference. And you can start engaging with content that already exists. You don't have to create new content to get the most out of LinkedIn. Next, follow target companies. Watch for their marketing materials, watch for their press releases and other types of content from these companies that you want to engage for your own business, as well as your competitors. It's a good way to understand what initiatives they're doing. Are they doing something right? Are they doing something that maybe you think is wrong that you can improve on, that you can share? This is really, really important that you can be following people, following companies, and getting a lot of information from that. So for example, let's say I'm following a company and I see that they're sharing something about their sustainability initiative. Well, that's something that is, something that I can help with. It's something that I have experience in. And so I know that if I am actively engaging in conversation with them, that's something I can kind of slip in. So there really is a lot of information here that you can use to your advantage. And third, look for openings. So pay attention for key moments for your leads, for your existing relationships, and for your companies. Pay attention to what jobs they're posting. Pay attention to job changes, to promotions, to their news mentions. This is all really helpful, insightful information that can help you. So if you are in contact with someone and then you see that their job has changed on LinkedIn, oh, I should go follow that new company. And that's why they're not following up with my email, is that they're no longer at that email address. So, by connecting with people that you're working with or looking to prospect, you can see all of this information, and it's really key information as you go on your LinkedIn journey. So, okay, it's time. It's time for the fun stuff. We're going to go directly into the platform and explore some tips and tricks. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to reshare my actual Google Chrome and my actual profile. So here we go. Just a quick note in the chat. Can you guys let me know that you can see my screen? Yep. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Okay. So this is my LinkedIn profile. This is not the homepage. I've just brought you directly to my profile. So I'm going to show you how you can structure your profile, and feel free. I mean, I know you guys are watching, but feel free as we're doing this to go into your profile, go to the places that I'm talking about as I'm talking about them, make changes live with me. You can always message me in the chat if you have a question. And then I'm going to actually give you the opportunity to unmute yourselves. So here we go. First and foremost, your header. So right away, right when you land on my profile page, you see create lasting impact for your business. You see my logo, you see a Forbes badge. So right away, I'm giving you a lot of information. You can see that this photo is a clear, current representation of what I look like. So if you had never met me before and I walked into a room and all you had saw was this photo, you would know that's Amanda. In fact, that's happened to me. And that's why you do it. You want to be instantly recognizable once you do meet either via video or in person. But right off the bat, I highly recommend changing your background. Make it something that's personal to you. So prior to owning my own business, I had a picture of the Los Angeles skyline. So that's something that's personal to me. It tells you a little bit about where I live and the environment I'm in. But right off the bat, now I'm telling you information about me. I'm telling you that I own a business. I've given you the logo. I'm telling you that I can help you create lasting impact for your business. So I'm telling you a little bit about what I do. And I'm giving you, this is important, I'm giving you a conversation starter. So I put the Forbes Business Council logo right in my header, and you're going to go, what is that? And you're going to read a little bit. And then you might look into what the Forbes Business Council is. And you're going to see that I'm a member of this council. And now you haven't even spoken to me, but I've given you something that you can connect with me on. I've given you something that you can start a conversation with me on. So I've done that very clearly throughout my profile. And that's how I'm using it to drive business. So again, we move down. You can see my company name. You can see where I've gone to school. Again, I'm choosing to show you these things, and I'm choosing them very deliberately. So you can see where I went to school. Let's say the person that I'm talking to, I spoke with someone just yesterday who was also a Trojan. And now immediately we have a rapport, we have something to connect on. So with this top portion of your profile, remember how I kind of mentioned that up at the top. This is all useful information that you can use to give people information about you that they can start a conversation or you can start a conversation. So let's get to it. I have used my profile to its max capabilities. You now have the ability to include a soundbite of how to say your name. So for me, Amanda Blair Davis might seem very simple, but I have clients all over the world. And so if I'm dealing with someone where maybe English isn't their first language, they can learn how to pronounce my name and I can learn the same about them. So I want to make sure I'm making a good first impression and using their name correctly. And that's an opportunity to do so. I tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. So I've given you my title, the founder and chief idea officer at Hudson Davis Communications. Now I've given you a piece of interesting information as well. I chose that title very deliberately. It's unique and it's something that I think people are going to respond to and ask me questions about. Again, you can see that I'm specifically building my profile to get people to start a conversation with me. I've also told you that I'm a fractional CMO. That's something interesting that you might want to ask me about. I've given you something a little personal. So I'm a dog mama. You might also be really in love with your dog. And now you have something with me that you feel like, oh, I can connect with that person on a personal level. We have something in common. And again, here I've mentioned the Forbes Business Council. So in the first 2 seconds of looking at my profile, I've given you a lot of information that you can use to connect with me on, and that I can use to connect with you on. And here I've given you things that I talk about. So if you guys are business owners or you're in sales or you're using your profile, I really recommend it gives you the ability to fill in the things that you talk about. I really recommend filling these in and selecting things. This will give you one, things to connect with people on and to talk with them about, and they can ask you about those things. And it gives people the impression that you are an expert in those things. Next, if you are a business owner and or service provider, I 10 out of 10, this is brand new from LinkedIn, but I 10 out of 10 recommend using the service provider section. So it's a little bit complex to figure out how to put this into your profile. And I can show you exactly how to do that. But now somebody comes to my profile and they know that I provide services without even me having to say anything. So if you are a service provider or a business owner of any kind, I do recommend taking advantage of this option. So this is everything that what we call above the fold. So it's everything that LinkedIn gives you before you scroll down. Now, as we scroll down, we're getting more information in your profile. This is your dashboard. It's going to be private to you, but it will show you who's viewed your profile, who's viewed your post, and if you've appeared in any searches. So that's really an important information. This is going to look different to everybody on here, but it's important information that you can use. I've also got creator mode on. So I'm a creator. I've highlighted content on my profile. So I've turned that mode on. And again, featured. So like I mentioned earlier, I featured some media in my media section to allow people to get to know a little bit about me or what I do. So I've linked my website. You can click directly through that if you visit my profile. And then I've also given you a bit about some of the services I provide. So I've really taken advantage of all of the real estate that LinkedIn is giving me to connect with other people in my profile. Finally, as we scroll down, you can see my activity. So if you were prospecting me, you could take a look into this activity and see what I'm doing. So you might say, let's say you're a company that hosts professional webinars. Well, you can see that I'm actively promoting a webinar that I'm doing on my profile. I've been liking and commenting about things that are involved in that. So you might message me and say, hey, I see that you're hosting a webinar. We provide state-of-the-art webinar hosting services. I'd love to connect with you and chat a bit more about that. If I saw that and it was personal to what I was actively doing and involved in, I would absolutely connect with that person and engage in a conversation. So really, this is a lot of information that you can use when you're talking to people, when you're prospecting, and as you're getting into your profile. Okay, so here we go into the about section. Like I said, there is no right or wrong answer here. I have chosen to be really brief. So I've given you one sentence about who I am and what I do, and another about me personally. So for me, I develop visionary communications and marketing strategies while executing on tactical operations to drive ROI. That is exactly what you need to know about what I do. And then something that tells you a bit about who I am, I've also used this space to give you a little bit of my tone of voice. I'm really friendly, I'm very outgoing and bubbly. And so when I'm telling you about who I am, I say I'm a PR and social media expert, I'm a content junkie, a proud millennial, and a lover of all things pink and sparkly. So that tells you I'm a bit lighthearted. It gives you my tone, it gives you a lot of information there. Okay, so going into experience. So I get a lot of questions about, Amanda, what should I share on my experience? Should I share a lot? Should I go into a lot of detail? Again, here, there is no right or wrong answer, but I'm going to show you how I did it and why I did it. First and foremost, my obviously most recent experience is up at the top. And I've chosen to give you the most information that I can possibly give you about my current positions, because that's what's relevant to what I'm doing today. So you can see you've got some information about the company I work with, the companies that I've started, but you can see even down here, like I've given a lot of information about my previous position because the things that I was doing there were really relevant to what I'm doing today. Same thing with this. As I go into more experience, you can see I've intentionally now given you less information. And the reason is, we're getting back to 2016, 2013. The things that I was doing then may not be as applicable to what I'm doing today. So back in 2016, we might have been doing print advertising, whereas today I'm not doing as much print advertising. So the things that are really relevant to what I'm doing today are what I put the most information about. Again, I have tagged myself in the proper companies of all the companies that I'm involved with or have been involved with. And again, that's a way for me to be seen in searches about those companies. So if you have your own business and you haven't created a LinkedIn page, create one and put yourself as the CEO or whatever your title is for that company, because anybody that's searching for that company can now see you. Same thing if you're in sales and you're working for another company, or if you're in another field and you're working for another company, make sure that you attribute your role to that company's LinkedIn page. Okay, so as we start scrolling down, you can see my education. Now, something really important here, and I touched on this a bit with my experience, and I'm going to touch on it again with education. Do you guys remember a while ago, I think it was maybe like 5-6 years ago, there was an Experian hack and like hundreds of thousands of people had their data hacked through Experian. And it was everywhere. It was all over the news because it was one of the first major hacks of my time. And it was a really big deal. And then people went on to the chief information security officer's LinkedIn profile, and she didn't have anything about her experience. And under education, she was sharing that she had a degree in music. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with sharing your degrees, but she had a degree in something that was not at all applicable to what she was doing. And she was supposed to be responsible for all of our data, and there had been a breach. She was raked over the coals in the media and professionally. She may very well have had an education in information security, but she wasn't sharing it on her LinkedIn profile. So all that to say, it's very important what you share. And I highly recommend making sure that everything you're sharing is really directly related to what you're doing today. Again, same thing with licenses and certifications. So if I'm licensed or certified in anything that's applicable or important to what I'm doing today, don't be shy. Use this as an opportunity to share that with your network. Same thing with skills and endorsements. Same thing with recommendations. Don't be shy. Do ask for recommendations and do give recommendations. I highly recommend taking advantage of these features. And you can also take quizzes. So if you take and pass quizzes, people can see that, so they can really see that you are an expert in those fields. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of the other things now that we've gone past the profile. I am going to get into some of the other things that we talked about today. So the first thing that was talked about was how do I join groups? So you can come in here and see that they provide a search section. So I'm just going to say marketing. And then it's going to bring me some companies up at the top. And now it's going to bring me groups. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to see now that there are all these groups that I can join. So I recommend just join a few groups, start small, and it gives you the ability to follow what they're talking about and connect with other people. One of the things that I do want to show you guys is the ability to join hashtags. So I'm just going to do something that's applicable to me and go into B2B marketing. So you can see that there are 34,118 people following and actively talking about B2B marketing. That's huge, right? So I know that if I start a post in B2B marketing, I'm going to reach 34,000 people that may not be in my network that could be useful to me. So I recommend following. A good rule of thumb on LinkedIn is if it has like more than 10,000 followers and like active discussions, then I think that's a good thing to be a part of. If it's any smaller than that, depending on the size of your business, you may or may not want to spend as much time on those things. So hopefully that's helpful for you. I am actually going to pause here and ask for questions. So feel free either in the chat or if you would like to unmute yourself. If you have any questions about hashtags or searches, I do have one other thing that I really want to show you, but I want to address any questions that you might have first. Don't be shy. We have 30 more minutes together, so I'm here as a resource for you.
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you know what hashtags to use? Sometimes I use hashtags that I don't even know where to get them from.
Sure.
So how do you know?
So what type of business are you looking to be in, or are you in?
Human resources, training and development,
Okay.
And possibly recruiting.
Okay, so that's a good thing. So let's go in and just use hashtag human resources. So you can see some of them come up already, right? So this is going to automatically give you some examples. So you don't have to try to figure this out on your own, which is great. So I'm just going to go into human resources, and there's 33 million people talking about this. This is a huge one and a really good place to be. So if I was you, I would absolutely follow it. And these are now people that I can connect with. These are people that I can engage with. So that's a really massive number. So that's kind of how I would do it. You also said maybe training or training and development. So that one might be a bit more specific, 8,400 followers. So depending on the size of your business, this might be, may or may not be a better fit for you with 8,400 people. But this is another good one. So if you even just type in training, training program, training and enablement, training solutions, training programs. Let's just go into training. Okay, now we're into 201,000 people. So that's kind of how I would search. You can just use keywords. Is that helpful for you?
Yeah, but what do you put? Do you put, in order to do the search, do you put like hashtag and then search? And then, in other words, when I do my search, would I use the hashtag symbol and then do hashtag human resources?
Yep. Okay. Yep. So you can see I'm typing it in on my screen. You can see I'm typing in human resources. Because if I don't use the hashtag, let's say I just type in human resources, it's going to bring me different results. So now it's going to show me either jobs, maybe services and consulting people. So if I see all results, now it's showing me something completely different.
Okay.
So now
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I can see people who are in human resources. I can see jobs. So if I really want to just see what people are talking about or connect with people in human resources, I would definitely recommend using the hashtag to narrow that down. Any other questions before I move on? I see the chat. Hi, I'm a career coach. I want to help job seekers and would like to understand is the popular job keywords used for a specific job, but how can I find? So it really would depend on the keywords for a specific job. So it depends what field the job is in. So for example, if you're looking for a marketing manager, you can go marketing manager, and you can see the jobs. You can see posts about it. So that's, I know it's really not necessarily the answer to your question. What I'll say is there's no like really, really easy way, except for one way that I am going to show you to kind of filter things down. So if you're looking for something specific in a specific industry, that's kind of the best way to do this. But I am going to show you a little trick, and I think this could be applicable to the question that you're asking me as well. Yes, there is absolutely a PDF on this webinar that I will be sharing afterwards. Sorry, I'm just responding to the chat. How do I add a video to my profile? Very good question. Okay, so I'm going to go into my profile. Here we go. Here's where you would add a video to a post, but I don't think that's what you're asking. So sorry about that. I'm going to go into my profile. And down here under featured, there's a little edit button here or a little plus. So here I can go into the plus and either post, article, link, or media. Here's where I would go to upload media if I had a video directly. If I had a link, like let's say the video lived on YouTube, I would put it here. So it's here in the featured section, and then you can also edit them. So you can edit the titles and things like that. But really what I think you're asking is where in your profile you would go to put a video, unless you're just posting it, and then in that case, it would show up in your activity. But if you really want it to actively show up in your profile, I would put it in the featured section. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so people go live. How to go live? That's a very good question. So up here in your homepage, I believe, I don't know. Nope. Okay, it's not there. Oops. Oh, cancel. Okay, so it's not there. But if you do want to go in to start a post, I believe you can go in here. Nope. Okay. You know what? I actually haven't gone live on LinkedIn, and I wonder, because this is the desktop version, I wonder if it's a mobile feature. So I'll have to look into that and get back to you on that. I'm just going to make a note of the question, and I'll get back to you on that. But it does look like it could very possibly be a mobile feature. You will have to apply for it. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, and that's very similar to having to apply for the LinkedIn service provider feature as well on your profile. Okay, so moving forward, I do have a trick that I want to show everybody on this call because I think it's going to be really useful for you guys. Either in the chat or if you want to speak up, give me like the name of a dream prospect for you, a company that you would absolutely be dying to work with, or somebody that you're actively prospecting today. Google, Apple. Okay, I'm going to do both of those. Okay, so let's go into Apple. Oops. Okay, so here we go, company, consumer electronics. So let's see, let me see who asked that question. Ravi. Okay, so Ravi, what type of person are you looking for at Apple? Maybe something in their title, maybe something that is in their role, what they do. Battery technology. Okay, so if I'm looking for somebody who's a scientist or battery technology at Apple, they've got 239,000 people. That is an immense task to try to work through, right? And it can be incredibly difficult. So right off the bat, sorry, I think I moved pretty quickly. But first things first, Ravi, I would absolutely be following them. If I was you, you can see everything that they're sharing. You can see if you have connections there. I've got some direct connections that work there. So if I was you, I would check to see if I have direct connections who work there. I could ask any one of these people, hey, I'm looking for somebody who's a scientist or somebody in development. Is there somebody that you can connect me with? That's one way to do it. But now, if I wasn't comfortable or if I didn't know anybody there, I could go into those 239,000 people. And now it's narrowing down the results. So it's showing me people that are directly within my first, second, or third degree network. So those are people that are kind of closer to me. But even still, 233,000 people is incredibly difficult for you to search through. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go into all filters. And when it brings me all filters, I'm just going to see if I happen to have anybody within my first and second degree network. And Ravi, you can say in the chat, is it important for them to be in the United States? Yes. Okay, cool. So now I can go back to the filters. I want them to be in my first and second degree network, and I want them to be in the United States. Okay, so now we've gone from 23,000 people to 300 people, which is still very, very difficult to sort through, but much better than the 230,000 people. So I'm going to go back into all filters and I'm going to come all the way down here. They kind of bury it, but I'm going to go into title and I'm going to go into, let's see, development. Or, and this is very important, the or has to be capitalized, otherwise it will not work. I'm going to go scientist or battery or technology. Okay, that should give me enough information. Let's see the results. Okay, here we go. Now I have 12 people who are probably what I'm looking for at Apple. So if I'm prospecting Apple, these are the people that I want to be prospecting if I'm you, Ravi. So I've just taken you now from 23,000 people to 12 people. And now these are in my first and second degree network. So, this person is the head of technology. He's directly connected to 4 people that I know. I could ask Kim or Steven. I know them very well. I could ask if they could make a connection for me. If I don't see that and I'm not comfortable, I could connect. So if I go in here, I could say connect, and then it'll give me the option to write him a message. I would write him a message that's very personal, and the chances are he'd probably connect with me. So I'm going to go back, and I know, let's see, in the chat we had Google. Okay, let's try Google. Whoops. So here we go. Here's Google. 240,000, very similar. So I believe this was Christina. Christina, if I was you, I would definitely be following Google if that's one of your top companies. So I would just follow them here. And now I'm going to go into the 240,000 employees. Okay, so within my first, second, and third degree network, it's narrowed it down to 224,000. It's going to automatically filter into the people that I would most likely know up top. But this is still an immense number of people that I would be trying to reach. So Christina, if you wouldn't mind letting me know, 1, do they have to be in the US? And 2, what are some maybe title options? Talent acquisition, technical recruiter. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say US only. Okay, that's really helpful. So I'm going to go United States or United Kingdom. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and go technical recruiter, or maybe even recruiter, or talent, or diversity. Okay, and I've limited this to my first or second degree network, but depending on the results. Okay, so now I've got 28 people. So out of the 200,000 people. I've now narrowed it down to 28 people in my first and second degree network that are directly applicable, and that could be really good for you. So again, if I know Daryl, I would absolutely reach out to him and say, hey, Daryl, can you make the connection between me and Kelly? And he would do it. If I didn't have anybody here, or let's say maybe I didn't know them as well and I wasn't as comfortable, I would connect and then include a message in the connect request that, I would be looking to connect with them regarding that, or whatever it was. And they're probably likely to connect with you. So that's a really important trick that I think, also that question about how to find jobs, I think, so let's say reset jobs that are popular. I might, if I go into all filters, I might be able to go by job. Okay, I'm going to look into that and get back to you on it, because there's probably, filter by people, filter by jobs. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So this is your solution. And let me just look back at who was asking. Kumar. Okay. So this is where you would go. So you'd go into your search, you'd go into all filters, and then up here you'd filter by jobs. And then, depending on the type of experience level, and then you could also filter it down, job function, and then probably look at most relevant and at any time. It kind of depends, but here would be a good way to see what jobs are most relevant. So with that, we've got just under 15 minutes left in the session, and I've got time for questions. Does anybody have another question about this, about LinkedIn, about your profile, anything that I can do to help you guys while I've got 15 minutes with you?
Yeah, Amanda, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
How do you add the personal background picture you started in the beginning next to your photo? How do you add that, and how do you add the service provider section?
Good question. So the background photo is the easiest. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to go into my profile, and right up here, you should see a little pencil. Yep. Click on the pencil, upload your photo.
Where's the upload button?
So it would be right here, change photo.
Okay.
And then you would choose the photo that you want and then hit apply.
So I download something on my desktop and then hit change photo, and then it'll give me the option to browse where it is on my desktop to double click and upload it.
Yep, exactly. And they also, so I'm just going to do this and change photo. They give you custom images. You can upload a photo here. They also give you like some pre-done ones that are applicable to some of the stuff that's going on today. So if you wanted to choose any of these, they give you the ability to choose, but you can also just go here and upload a photo. Okay.
Can you search for background photos that you want to look at? Like, I have my company's logo, but I'm thinking something more personal around business development or something. Is there any way you would search for things relevant to?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And it's something that I've thought about. They don't give you the ability to do that directly in LinkedIn, but it's something that I think they should. They should give you access to like a stock photo library of predetermined background pictures. If you wanted to do something like the skyline of where you live, or a business development picture or something like that, I would do a quick Google search and then download the picture. That's the best way to do it now, but okay, you're not the only one who probably thinks that they should offer a stock library. Okay, so now going into your second question, which was the providing services, because it's not automatically on your profile. So that was a very good question. If you go into the search bar and you type in LinkedIn service provider, and you go into see all results, it's going to take you to all this, and you're going to want to search for groups. Okay, it might not be in here. It might be LI. They might have done it this way. LI service. Yeah, there it is. LI service provider group. You have to go in and request to be a member of this group. It's unlisted, so I'm really glad that you asked this question. You have to go in, request to be added to this group. Once you join this group, you will see the ability to add it to your profile.
Okay.
Great question. All right, so I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Just a heads up. If you have a question and I don't have the time to get to it, I promise I will respond. So I have access to everybody's emails. I will make sure that I get you a response, and I'm going to post the responses in the event page so that you guys all have access to the answers, because I know some of these are helpful to more than one. Do you recommend connecting widely or only people you interacted with? I personally connect widely, but that is definitely at your own discretion. There is no right or wrong answer there. It's really just what you're comfortable with. For people that I maybe haven't spoken yet with, or am not directly like interacting with, and it's just going to be out of the blue, I will usually add a message and say, hi, I see we have some similar interests, would love to be a part of your network so we can stay connected, or something like that. So it's not just like totally out of the blue. So yeah, that is at your discretion. Okay, so just looking at what is second in and one in LinkedIn. Those are your connections. So that is talking about how you are connected to that person. So if I'm a first degree connection and it's going to say a little one in it, that means I'm directly connected with that person. They can see everything I do. I can see everything they do. I may have worked with them. I'm directly connected. Second degree is somebody that is in my second degree network. So they're not directly connected with me, but they're connected to somebody that I'm connected to. And then third degree connection is neither. They're not connected to me. They're not connected to anybody that I know. They're outside of that network, or maybe two people out. So they know someone who knows someone who knows me. That's what that is referring to. How to choose groups to join. That's correct. Well, you can join both. I recommend joining both groups where your customers are and industry groups. So for example, I join groups for like small businesses or other business related groups, because that's where my customers are. But I also join marketing related groups because people are often sharing best practices and things that work for them or don't work for them. So it's a good way for me to connect with people in my industry and understand kind of what the latest trends are and what they're seeing. So really there's no right or wrong answer there. Okay, so we addressed the service provider question. How do you interact with groups? Some of them are quite self-promoting. That is true. It's welcomed. And honestly, the easiest way to interact is to like or comment. If you have something going on, or I recommend maybe even starting with a question. So, if you have a question that you think they might be able to help you answer, that's a really, really, really good way to start interacting in a group. I've just come to the end of the questions. I'm going to go back to the providing services question, because I know it's pretty tricky. So again, just a reminder, in order to be able to show that provide services, you have to go into the search bar, type in LI service provider. And now it's coming up for me, I think probably because we just searched for it, but you can also search all of LinkedIn. Okay, no, it doesn't come up. So when you search, it should come up here, the LI service provider group. In order to be able to show that you provide services on your profile, you have to go in and join this group. They've shut off the functionality. I'm not sure why, but they've shut off the functionality to do it unless you're in this group.
And this group is made up of all service providers?
That's correct. It's all service providers on LinkedIn that have joined the group. There might be service providers that haven't joined the group. I know it's pretty complex, and I'm not sure why they've done that. That really doesn't make sense to me, but it is the only way to do that for now. I'm guessing that they're testing it in different areas. I've seen other people say in other areas of the world that they have access to it. But right now, this is the only way. So for example, let's see. So I can go in and let's say, so Dwight, I'm just going to go in and invite you. Let's see what happens. I've never done that before. So we'll see how many hashtags should be used in a post. Good question. There is no right or wrong answer. I I think if there are things that are directly applicable to what you're talking about, include them and try to include them in a sentence. If it starts to get too cluttered, I like to put them like kind of at the bottom so they're hidden. And it really depends on your reach. So if you want to have a more broad reach, I would use more hashtags. I'm pretty cognizant when I'm posting that sometimes it might wind up becoming a little annoying. And I say that gently. So just be cognizant. A handful is a good place to start. I would probably, to truly be effective, probably no less than 5, but probably no more than like 20. I know that's pretty broad. Good question, Michelle. What is your opinion on using emojis on LinkedIn? This is new for me. I initially was not a fan, but now I'm a total fan of it. I really like it. I think it really just depends on your personality. So if you're somebody who kind of naturally uses emojis, I think it's great. If you don't naturally use emojis and it would look weird coming from you, I wouldn't, because you do want to kind of come off as authentic. So we're kind of running up against the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I'm going to stop the live demo. I do just have one last slide to share with you guys. So we are going to go back to my PowerPoint.
Hey, Amanda, burning questions. How do you add a post? I'm sure everyone's dying after this to add a post, a legacy post particularly. I want to know how to do that before I get off this call, because that's what we all want to do, is start sending stuff out there so we can draw business to our pages.
Yep. Okay, so let me go back to sharing my screen. Oops.
I know how to share one when I see one existing already. I know how to share and send it to my network, but I don't know how to add a post. If I have one or created one, let's take one that's existing. Like you said, we have a lot of legacy ones, and so I don't have to reinvent any wheel. I can just grab one today and send it out.
Yep. So I'm just going to literally use the one that's at the top of my page. If I wanted to share it directly, I could click this share button and then it brings me here. So I could share it as any one of the profiles that I manage, or I could share it here as myself. So I'm just going to go back because I am going to do it myself. And then I would use this. So I would say, hey, business leaders. And then I would maybe tag them at Robinhood. And it gives me the option. At Robinhood is hosting an annual investors, and then I might hashtag conference.
Anyone out there in the LinkedIn universe of millions of people?
Yep. This is going to go to anybody that is either following Robinhood, following conference, and then anybody that you're connected to. So yes, that's correct. And then if I wanted to, LinkedIn is giving me some suggestions here. So I could say leaders in business. Now your post is going to show up there. It might recommend some more. I tend to like to do them here at the bottom. Just because this eventually, when I post, this is going to kind of show up here and it's going to kind of hide this stuff at the bottom, which is what I want because it can look a little messy. So that's exactly how to share a post. If they have turned off the ability to share, you can, I'm going to discard this because I don't want to actually post it. You can come up here to the post and there are 3 dots here and it will say copy link to post. So I've now copied the link to the post. I can now go up here. So at the top of my profile, it's always going to be here when you come into the home, when you come into your news feed, it's always going to be up here, start a post. I'm just going to paste that link that I copied. And see how now it's loading this preview and now it's got the preview. I'm not going to leave this link here. I'm going to back this out and now I'm going to say something about the post so I can use this real estate. So hopefully that's helpful on how to create a post and how to share a post.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I'm going to discard this, stop share really quickly and share with you my final slide, and then I will let you guys go. So here we go. Key takeaways from today. Follow the ABCs. Always be connecting. Next, when in doubt, ask. I'm here as a resource for you guys. I've connected with all of you. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. keep your profile up to date. Make sure your picture's up to date. Make sure your current roles are up to date. Make sure that your profile is an accurate representation of who you are and what you do. And finally, share and engage. Like I said, just being active on the platform once a day is really going to help you. So with that, if you haven't already, I've tried to do with everybody that was registered for the presentation, but if you haven't already, please connect with me. My profile's at Amanda Blair Davis. And if you'd like to email me directly, I'm amanda@hudsondaviscommunications.com. Before we leave today, I do just want to take a minute to share a little bit about what we do. We provide integrated marketing solutions. We are focused on B2B companies. So we are expert B2B marketers, and we have clients across a wide range of industries and verticals. Our team has worked for and with some of the world's top companies, and we are committed to delivering innovative solutions for you to help you drive business, amplify your strategy, and create lasting impact. That has been it. I will share the slides, and the recording will go into that as well. I'm so glad that you guys were able to join me today, and I look forward to speaking with you guys again soon. Thank you so much.